There we go. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to our SAP Tips and Tricks coffee break. I'm with Simon Lamothe today. He's a consultant at Forgestik, and he's going to be covering basic crystal report modifications in SAP. So, thanks, Simon. And if anybody has questions, you've got the chat box that I'll keep an eye on if anybody has questions.
Thank you, Tracy. Um, Today, we want to cover a little bit of the basics. I know we have a lot of webinars that discuss more of the detailed in programming. So we can talk about the SQL and the HANA, how you add fields, how you build a view or a query to build your report. But here I wanted to provide a little bit of autonomy for you on the aesthetic side for reporting. So things that you can do by yourself uh, that doesn't need too much coding or anything like that. Today we'll just focus on formatting, alignment, what are the different fields and formulas, what you can do. So we'll take a report, a standard report in SAP, and just change some things, play with it, and then we'll see the results at the end. And with the demo we have, I don't have access to parameters for connections, but we'll look at what are parameters and what are sub reports. But first of all, we'll go with our first 2 points here is how to access a crystal and what are the connections to SQL and our connections to HANA. So here I'm just gonna minimize the PowerPoint here. There we go. And jump right into SAP. So what we want to do is access Crystal. Of course, to access Crystal, you need Crystal reports to be installed on your desktop. You can look into licenses for that. If not, if you have a remote for the server, if you have access to that, of course the server will have Crystal installed. There's two ways to access the Crystal report in an SAP. First, you need, we'll go through the standard SAP, but also there's the B1 upside. The easiest way, I always suggest to go through straight from the transaction. The transaction today we're gonna play with is gonna be sales order. So we're gonna open our sales orders here. Go, it's a little slow. It's a demo environment. We'll go to the last record. So you have your little pen here. This environment has B1 up installed. So you have the B1 print delivery here, or PLD. If you have standard SAP, it's going to be PLD. PLD here, you have a list of all the reports for this particular form here, which is the sales order. And in bold is the one that you have by default. If you have a new implementation, if you're a new client, this is by standard. It's, you see at the end here, it's CR for Crystal Report, CA for Canada, and system is the basic system one. Usually what we do as consultants, we take the basic one here and we apply modifications, logos, little changes here and there for your needs. If not, if you have your own and we have to clone it, then we'll just copy whatever you have from your legacy system. But for now, we'll just take what we have and we'll manage layout. And instantly it'll bring you to the report layout manager where you can edit through a Crystal report. There's also the long way where you go to module, administration, setup, general, and report layout manager. That will open it here without actually drop down. The advantage of going through sales order already, it will open where the order is, the Crystal report is found. So here it's the RDR2, meaning it's for only items. So if we have a service sales order, it will be a different form. But today we'll focus on this. On the B1 upside, you right click and you'll have your print and delivery here. If you have multiple, then you'll have your sales order, examples, price, no price, etc. This one you see is default, so you can edit it, or you can print preview it if it has been configured that way. You can have multiples, but here, let's say sales order, edit. This is a new demo environment, so I think the reports are not at the right folder. But let's say you open it here, crystal report, little golden arrow opens your view here. This is where the report should be, and you would edit. And here it says you can't find it. It's okay. This should not happen in your environment. If it does, please contact us. And we close it here. But for today, we're going to use the standard SAP. The advantage to go through the B1 up, and once you do have the B1 up, print delivery, if you do modifications on your report, it's instantly, you can see the instant effect on it in the sales report. You save it, you can go back, and then you can print preview here, the sales order, and you'll see your modifications. The issue with SAP standard is that it's a little longer process where you have to go down here and import the modifications you've done and then assign it to where you want it. Before you need to, you can go back and then print it out and see the effects. So the process is a little longer, but we'll go through it today. So there we go, R2D2. Open it, edit, and Crystal Report will open. Now, this in particular is the standard SAP one. Standard SAP is that it is used for multiple transactions. So generally here you would have the same format for, let's say, for the module, a sales module. So you'd have the same report for quotes, orders, delivery, and invoices. So they have a lot of formulas. So if you see the @ sign here, because these are formulas, and in the formulas themselves, they add, let's say, labels and everything. They say if this particular transaction is linked to a quote, then put quote, etc. This one, it was done, I think it was manually modified. So if we do open here, doc type example, we just see order confirmation. So that's just statically added. But in most cases, in the standard forms, you would have, if it's a quote, if it's an order, type these in. So this is you can apply it to multiple transactions at the same time. The issue with that is if you do modifications on a report, if you save it, it will be applied across the board. So please bear in mind, I always save my report and do different versions before you confirm, just in case that if you do any modifications, you have a backup or you have something on the side. You can always do this in a test environment. You should have a test environment and reports in your test environment. If there is any issue, then you can always take the report that you have, so save from your production, save it, a copy, and then re-import it in your test, just in case. There's always a way to get back whatever happened. So today we'll just cover quickly the connection. You have, this is a HANA connection, so you see a driver, specific driver here. There's other webinars where you can say how to add ones and then how to build your query for this. Today, we're just going to cover quickly how the connection, if you do want to modify or anything in the Crystal report and see and preview it in Crystal report, you'll need a user. So if you don't have a administrator or super user, you'll need maybe contact our support, and they'll create maybe a user called reporting with a password for specific needs. So it's not something that can update any tables or delete any tables. It'll be more a viewing or access user. So you can go in and play around and create your own Crystal report. But today, as we're just doing aesthetically, we're going to avoid that. But it's important to cover that if you do want to modify it, and preview it in Crystal, then you'll need a user. Today, we're going to modify it, but instead of previewing it in Crystal, we're just going to import it. And what SAP does, it imprints its own connection onto the report. So basically, I don't have to play around with any connection. Since the connection has been built, once I import it in SAP, whether it's a different, if you have multiple databases, it will take your connection string or connection process from the database here from the company and apply it to that report. So if we want to visualize, what I want to do is just go in sales order here and do a print preview. First off, we'll see exactly what the report we see and what we want to modify today. So we'll cover little things like formatting, alignment, fields, formulas, and we'll add some color. We'll suppress things, and we'll do some if case scenarios. So here, this is from SAP. This is what it should look like. So let's say in this, I think the visibility for the document number is not enough. I want it bigger. I don't need this copy. I want to add a column here, basically saying that, let's say in quantities, I can have at all cases, you can also do it you can do calculations with unit measure, but for this principle, we'll make it simple. And we'll just divide basically the quantity by 10 and say that's the number of boxes I need. Example. We can, let's say, we'll make our client name, or not, this is not client, it's an item name colored red if the total is above 500. We'll add some dollar signs. We can, let's say, add a line. We have enough lines here. And then what we can do is look into this sub-report, what information comes from, and if we need it, and we can just suppress it if we don't need it. So we'll go through that. And first off, this is an order confirmation, and what I want to do is change this for client order. Let's see. So we'll go back to our Crystal report. So these are segments here. So you have your report header, go down, and report header A and B. There we go. And this is what is the most important here, is the detailed information. So you see a lot of suppression when they cross lines here, a lot of suppression. Suppression doesn't mean that it's always hidden. It just means that it's maybe hidden depending a certain condition. So if you right click on the details and you go into section expert, here you see suppression here, little red mark, little crayon. If you click, you'll say why. So you have, if the doc line type layout is 1, line type is different than R. So here is a TMSP doc line type. I'm not sure what that is. I think that is a stock procedure directly from SAP. And they seem to say everything that's different R. We can go into it and see what that means. I think here, there we go, SP. So you want a line type. That's interesting. So they assigned a line type for this particular, and it's totals, subtotals. So we seem to say whether the line has been closed or not, or canceled maybe. But at all times, we can see that this does not impact our order that we're looking at because we have all the information here. So whatever item type is referred to, and it doesn't seem to be impacting our transaction here. Okay, let's go back to the modifications we wanted. So printman here, printman, we'll look what it means. That was the top of our header here, copy. So when we go into it, formula fields, there's an @ sign here. So we go print layout, it's alphabetical order, should be easy to pin out. So here we say that depending on the order, so we have ORDR, which is the order. If it's printed, well, there's different things that it pops out. So if it's printed, it says yes, show me copy string. If it's no, original string, A, amended string. So right now we'll go see what A is, Y is, and we have our string. So copy string is just a word copy, meaning that if the transaction has been already printed, emailed, and has been flagged as printed within SAP, then there's always going to show this marking on the report. So some clients ask for draft marks, so you can do a watermarks or draft marks across the, whether if it's a quote or something like that. So that can be added. But for our today, we don't need it. So we're just going to right click format fields, and we're just going to suppress it. So we can't because it's read only. We'll just deactivate read only, activate suppress, and that should be gone. Next, we wanted to also make our doc number larger. So we'll just go here. And this is basic Word stuff where you have your bold, underline, formatting size. So we just want it, let's say, 12. And we'll just make it bigger here. We can also go in doc type, doc date. So let's go back, doc date. We want year, month, date. So at all times, we can always go back here and format field, change it, customize into the date. So here, always depending on what you want, but generally we always select date. We don't need datetime. At the date form here, we want month, day, year. We want year, month, day. And actually, I don't want it to be this format. I want double digits. So we go 0 and 0 and here. So I can change. It's very easy to change the dates. It's just a lot of the times there's a lot of them, and it's good not to skip on some. Next, what we wanted to do is, let's go back. We wanted to change, remove this. We changed the date, made this bigger. I want to add a column for a number of boxes. So you can have the weight and length, and you can define and calculate the weight of the box. You can also have it configured per product and then actually get it. But you know, in all times, you can always do calculations. There's a lot of things that you can build on depending on your data source up here. But for simplicity today, we'll just do right-click new, and that's how you create a new formula. And we're going to say first, let's say num underscore box. And that comes a blank slate. And here we want, actually, we want to validate the quantity first. So you can hover over it. And here we see the quantity. So the quantity is the quantity, the amount per item in your sales order. So we have 35, example. So we want that number divided by 10. So we go over here, quantity, RDR1 quantity, and we just want to divide it. So we'll go back to our formula here. There's no check mark because it hasn't been assigned to the report yet. Right click. And we'll say in the driver, so that's a data source. we'll go to RDR1. Yep, there we go. And quantity. Double click and division by 10. So you can link it to anything. You can do, depending on unit of measure, I want to divide. You can do conversion rates. You can do a lot of things based on, if you have the data, then you can fabricate any calculation here. Yeah, we'll just drag and drop it right here. So it instantly, when you drag and drop, it'll always create a label. I don't want this label. I don't like it. I want it to be a formula itself, so I can either make it if case scenario depending on languages. I can do an if case scenario depending on unit of measure or any type of information. So here I want to do the formatting. So either I can compare. You can do Tahoma 8. And you shift click both, right click, and in this size and align, same size. Oh, it's Control Z. It's the other way around. Click on this and same size. So our num box should, there we go, reflect our line total. Now we'll just go Tahoma 8. There we go. And I just want a little bit of space. Oh. No. Drop it here. And I think this is bold. This is bold. This is bold. This is bold too. Good. Drag it. I want it to be aligned. One more. There we go. No, that's good enough. And then we'll right click formula, new, and I want to do a label. And that's going to be number box, label box. And we can do like the other one. We'll make it simple. Number box. Okay. Caps lock. Oh, number box. Label. And what I will do is, before I do drag and drop, I will take this total. And if I copy paste, it should keep the format size and type. And this, copy paste, put it here. This, and drag and drop our label box right here. Okay. Almost perfect. And then there's no science to this. I'm just gonna do like this for now and not worry about it too much. So now we have our new column with our calculation, black box. And let's say now we want to do an if case scenario for coloring. So we'll right click here for item name. We'll go into format field. And in format field, you would have in font, font, color. You can click on color. And you can even do if scenarios in color. Crystal Reports were very nice enough to give us every single color that we can use. So you can pick whatever color in your if case scenario. And this here is a parameter built in, meaning this is whatever font color was applied before. There it is. So I think it's black. So what we can do is if our line total, I think it was line total. Let me just remove that so we can validate together. Save and close. We'll leave that closed. So we want our line total here. If we remember back in our SAP, we want line total here. If it's over 500, I want my item name to be red. So here is the 900. If I go back to the report, it's right here. Detail A is always where you have your fields. Generally, it's where you have your fields, your detailed information from your transaction. So if we go here, line total, and it's an A. So it's not from the data source itself, it's a formula field. So if we go into line total, it's good that we checked because it says, depending on the currency source that's built in the transaction, if it's a local currency, then it's going to be line total. If it's a system currency, it's going to be system line, or it's going to be a C, so it's a foreign currency. So example, if it's a Canadian, it will take a local currency. Most of your companies, if Forgestik, are Canadian, so you'll have a line total. But if it's a US, it'll be a US. But if it's a foreign, then it will apply your foreign. So if you're a Canadian company and it's a American client, then your total will be US. Bear in mind that in SAP, every time you save a transaction in SAP, multiple exchange rates, exchange totals, currency totals are saved directly into the database. It takes the today's rate and applies it directly on the transaction that was saved. So you will have line total and total foreign at all times. So it's appropriate to add this in your report because it's easy to switch on and there's no issue. So we want to use that as a reference for our color change. Right click, we'll go back to it, font, custom, and here do if, and this is here driver, it's our data source. We don't want that. We want our report fields, the fields that we've created ourselves or has been already in SAP. We go down to the line total. Should be alphabetical, so I'm way over. There we go. Okay. For keyboard. There we go. If it's over 500, then I'll select yellow, blue. I want it red. Where is red? Teal. There. And then I'll just go else. You save and close. The system validates whether it's good or not. If there is, you will have an error message. This is good. And if there is an error message, well, usually it highlights, it tells you what the issue is. You can contact support if you have any issues or any problems. But I think there's enough information online, or there's enough webinars from Pause-Café that will help you out, and you can find the issue with the error message. Now, that is complete. We also wanted to add the currency here. If we go back, we wanted to add the currency instead of up here. I wanted to add the currency at the total here, and I want to do it at the back. So here at the total, we'll just right click, format field, customize. Click on the button here, and then you go into your currency symbol, enable. I want the position to be at the back. The number here, it has 6 decimals. I can change as much as I want. I can also remove this 1,000 separator, and I could also change the 1,000 separator that I need. So a lot of these basic modifications I can do here. And at all, you can also do decimals depending on certain issues. So different products, you can add different decimals, which should not be applicable with your configuration in SAP, since the configuration of decimals in SAP, let's say for price and quantities, are global. So I don't see there would be any point of doing that here. So now we added, next thing, we just want to suppress our footer here. So the footer, if we go down here, is a sub-report. So a sub-report is used, this is static information used. So this used for bank names, shareholder, this is, I think in your company settings in SAP, this is rarely used. We usually suppress it. We can change it. But sub-reports are used for terms and conditions. They can be used for any additional table or a query that you want to do that is not typically related directly to the transaction, but provides maybe in-depth information. So here you can see in this basic report from SAP, this is where they do sub-reports here for tax details, what type of tax are applied with the number of taxes. You can have your additional expenses, down payment terms, all this information. We have the footer here. You see a lot of this information is just static, and then information that we get from OADM, which is your company settings folder in SAP. We don't really need it. In sections, I'm not advised to remove, just delete things. It's sometimes easier just to right click, section expert, and just suppress it. You never know in the future if you want it back. It's easier to just suppress it than just to redo it from scratch. So here we're just gonna suppress it. Now, important little tip when you do save. So we'll save it here, save as. And we'll do, so I've done a couple of tests and another presentation this morning in French. So here we'll just go in English and save it here on my desktop. Important here is that when you go save it, please also save it in your summary info, meaning change the name, apply the right name. So here, when you import it in SAP, it will override the system one because the title here is the same. So this in SAP, it's saving with this title, not the one that you saved in your desktop. So let's SO Simon here, and we'll put EN for English. So I'll just do that and save it. So now in SAP, we'll minimize it and we'll see the impact right away. So when we go into Report Layout Manager, bear in mind of this layout ID. Everywhere you click, so let's say in sales quotation service, QUT1, in items, QUT2, and then you have the sequential number. So whenever you want to import, bear in mind of the four characters. So RDR2, because we want to make sure that when we do print out, we can print it out directly from this transaction and not from anywhere else. You can, let's say, when you import it, at the bottom right here, you can do next. We'll select our file, desktop, so Simon English, layout report. If we go to report, just for your exam, to show you, it gives you the reports, basic reports folder per module, per process. So let's say here you see it'll save under your sales report. So that will be the one in the back here. it'll be this sales report here. So it'll save it here. It's good for analyses reports, for summary reports, for lists, not for transactions. Transactions, you use the layout directly, 3 little dots. And that's why you need to remember it, because if you say sales order, it's not very good. It will filter through the first field and not the type. So that's why the RDR2, much easier to filter and find it. So just remind yourself, R2D2, finish. And if it is the same title, it will say, do you want to overwrite it? See now, this is because it is damaged or in use, because it is in use. So I'm going to close it. And then it doesn't like importing. So the difference between B1 Up also is that you can work on it, save it, and preview it. Here, you have to really close your crystal report, import it here for it to work. So if you finish and it tells you, do you want to overwrite it, yes or no? It's because you have already an existing report with the same name in the same RDR2 thing section. So I would change it, version 2, or like I said, go into the crystal report under summary and change it to the SO Simon EN or any report name that you need. So you don't forget and override by accident. So we close here. And in sales report, little pen, PLD, there are a list of reports, Simon EN here. I can set it as default. It's good to know that you can set it for all users. Some users, specific BPs or all BPs, I can do that. But for now, today, I want to keep my default as default. And I just want to validate. So this is just a testing report. It's not confirmed yet by anyone. I just want to see what it looks like. So I can come in, open it, preview layout, go down here, select, and press OK. So I didn't touch any programming, no connection, no nothing. I tweaked the aesthetics. Sometimes in projects, the level detailed aesthetically or finesse is not completed 100%. So sometimes there's little things that you guys can do that will help out in all ways and forms. So here we didn't actually suppress it. This is interesting. I thought we changed this. So we'll go through the box works. The box we have are divided by 10. We have our total here, 910, with our little dollar sign. We have our material, which is red, which is good. And we have our footer here that has disappeared. Now, maybe I was talking and I didn't save these modifications. We can go back and redo them quickly. There we go. Here. Maybe I did it at the wrong place. Okay, so here, just an example. I changed the modifications at header B. So header B is at second pages. So if you have a second page, header B will come into effect. So if we do a right click on the section expert here, suppress, it'll probably say if it's page number 1. So don't show it to me, it's page number 1. So any other pages, it will be applied. So silly me, I'll go up here and I'll do the same thing. So format field, common, read only, suppress. I will, this was making bigger. So 12. And date year 2 0301. That's good. Okay. Save. Close it. And as promised, so make sure all points are covered. All right. 2D2. Choose. Finish. And yes, I will overwrite it. Because the first one was missing some things. So SOEN, which is good. I'll do a file, preview layouts, and at the bottom, yen. Okay. And as promised, we have our time. Font was too big. There we go. So document number, a little bigger. We have our copy disappeared. The doc date. Doc date is in a different format, but I think we understood. And we have all the information needed. So if you have any questions or any issues, you can raise your hand, ask your questions. If not, you can contact support. They'll be happy. Sometimes to make a greater report, you just need a few more information. So if you have no one internally to help you with the programming or fields, you can ask along for us to help you add that data source or any information that's missing, and then you can add it, tweak it, and make it aesthetically pertinent to whatever you need it for your operations.
Thanks a lot, Simon. Does anybody have any questions? As I said earlier, there's a Q&A box. I don't know if you see it at the top or the bottom of your screen. And there's also a chat. I've got them both open in case needed. Seems to be good. I think we're all right. Well, good. Just a reminder to anybody, if you wanted other Crystal Report videos as well that are on different topics, on the Forgestik YouTube page, if you just type into the search bar Crystal Reports, we have a lot of other subjects regarding Crystal if needed. So Simon, thank you so much. And this is our last webinar for 2023. We'll be coming back in January after the holidays. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Simon. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Yep, you too. Bye.